بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم الحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله على سيدنا ونبينا أبي القاسم المصطفى محمد وآله الطيبين الطاهرين لا سيما بقية الله في الأرضين أجل الله تعالى فرجه الشريف اللهم أخرجني من ظلمات الوهم وأكرمني بنور الفهم اللهم افتح علينا أبواب رحمتك وانشر علينا خزائن علومك برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. Alhamdulillah, we have tawfiq to resume our study of Fiqh al-Istidlali, the section on fasting. Our previous session was 1st of April, before the month of Ramadan. And then after months of Ramadan we had some trips, so we resume now. We already talked about niyyah and different issues related to niyyah. The last thing we discussed was about niyyatul qat' abil qati'. Now we go to the section about muftarat. So the general topic is al-muftarat. As you see, al-aklu wa shurb are the first two things that we discussed. They break fasting. Dalilul muftariyah. Why we should not eat or drink when we fast? He says, لا كلام في مفطرية الأكل والشرب في الجملة. There is no question about the fact that eating and drinking will break the fasting. في الجملة. We are not saying any kind of eating, any kind of drinking, whether it is mu'tad, means customary or not. These details we have to discuss. But in principle, in general, we know that in the months of Ramadan, there is restriction about eating and drinking. Fil jumla. Not bil jumla, fil jumla means at least part of eating and drinking. There are some types of eating and drinking. And this is one of the ضروريات of Islam. بل ذلك من ضروريات الدين. One of the obvious, self-evident things. ضروري of deen means something that everyone knows. Even non-Muslims know that Muslims, when they fast, they don't drink, they don't eat. Like salat. Salat is zaruri of religion. Hajj is zaruri. Hijab is zaruri. These are things that everyone knows. Details, extent, maybe need to be discussed, but principles are zaruri. And this is why they say if someone denies one of the things which are necessary and self-evident in Islam, then he is not a Muslim. Why? Because there is no possibility of saying this person maybe didn't know. If it is not zaruri, if it is not self-evident, if it's not something obvious, we should always give credit of doubt. Say, maybe this person didn't know. Maybe at that time he didn't, pay attention, for example. But if something is zaruri of deen, normally denial of zaruri of deen can discover that this person doesn't have faith. In any case, this is one of zaruriyat of Islam. As I said, even non-Muslims know that Muslims in the months of Ramadan, when they fast, they don't eat and drink. وَيَدُلُّ عَلَيْهِ. We also have evidence from Quran and of course lots of evidence from Hadith. In the Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in Surah Al-Baqarah verse 184, وَكُلُوا وَاشْرَبُوا حَتَّى يَتَبَيَّنَ لَكُمُ الْخَيْطُ الْأَبْيَضُ مِنَ الْخَيْطِ الْأَسْوَدِ مِنَ الْفَجْرِ ثُمَّ أَتِمُّوا الصِّيَامَ إِلَى اللَّيْلِ. Eat and drink. Of course, this doesn't mean that it's wajib. This is for tarkhis. Yeah, we say amr sometimes is for tarkhis, means for permission. So kulu washrabu means you can eat, you can drink, but up to Fajr. What is Fajr? Here Fajr is introduced as a time when you can distinguish between black thread and a white thread. Maybe it's referring to the whiteness that appears in the horizon, or maybe in general, if there is no, a special light because of moon being complete, or there is no other things, and you are in darkness of the night, you can distinguish, for example, between a black thread or white thread, or maybe in the horizon, because first there is Fajr Kadhib, which is normally maybe in some place in the world, in the poles, it's different, but normally Fajr Kadhib is vertical. That is not accepted. After that there is a horizontal whiteness which appears in the horizon, and then it comes up. So we believe this in the second being the Fajr. So Allah says, Kulu washrabu hatta yatabayyana lakum al-khayt al-abyad min al-khayt al-aswad min al-fajr. This is the beginning of fasting, up to when? ثُمَّ أَتِمُّ الصِّيَامِ إِلَى اللَّيْلِ, up to the time that night comes. According to most of the Shia jurists, that is Maghrib. According to some minority in the Shia, but majority in the Sunni, Ghurub is enough. But most of the Shia say Maghrib. Ghurub is when sun sets. As soon as sun sets, it's Ghurub. But Maghrib is after that. When sun sets in the west, then there is redness appearing on the east. That redness should finish, should disappear. We call it ذهاب الحمرة المشرقية. It may take 15 minutes, 20 minutes after sunsets. That is Layl for us. So, Kulu washrabu, up to Fajr. From Fajr till night, you should not eat and drink. So this ayah is very clear that Kulu washrabu has limit. You cannot fast and still eat and drink. But there are details we have to discuss. نعم وقع الكلام في بعض الفروع نذكر جملة منها. Yes, there is discussion about some of the details. We mentioned some of them, inshallah. One question is this, which is not difficult. Muftariyatul qalil. When we say you cannot eat or drink, it doesn't make difference whether you eat or drink a lot or a little. Even if you drink a little water or eat a little food, it's problem. Because you can say akl has taken place, or shurb has taken place. لا فرق في المفطرية بين قلة الطعام والشراب وكثرتهما للإطلاق. Because of إطلاق. إطلاق, you remember in Usul al-Fiqh we had إطلاق and umum. Both of them indicate generality, but umum because of something in the lafz, there is a linguistic indication like kul, jami'. But itlaq is generality which is understood from muqaddamatul hikmah. You remember muqaddamatul hikmah, when qaid is not mentioned but it was possible to be mentioned, and mutakallim is bisadad al-bayan. Mutakallim has the intention of giving the details, but he doesn't mention any qaid, then we can understand that qaid was not meant. Anyway, here itlaq, when you say akl is mutlaq, and adamul akl is mutlaq, little or many or much. Then he refers to something that we have in urwatul wusqa. In al-urwatul wusqa, which is a very important book I mentioned before, and here, can you see al-urwatul wusqa, or you just see it still fiqh istidlali?
I can see Sheikh. I can't see urwatul wusqa. Yeah. It's there in the top. Urwatul wusqa ma taliq.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, ahsantum. Because I wondered whether when I shift you would see again, or it should be the same tab. Yeah, so I opened this before. Yeah, welcome, to make it ready. So this is al-urwatul wusqa by Sayyid Muhammad Kazim Tabatabai Yazdi. He lived in the time of Akhund Khurasani. Akhund Khurasani was Sheikh, and Sayyid Muhammad Kazim Tabatabai Yazdi was a Sayyid, and they had different views about mashrutiyat, about constitutional revolution in Iran. They had opposite views, but both of them are great scholars. So Al-Urwatul Wusqa is very well known because it has lots of furu', lots of details. Therefore, it's very good for mujtahideen. So normally mujtahideen, they make their fatwas as comments on this, and when they answer this, then their risala is very easy to be prepared. There are versions and editions which have commentaries of different marajih. For example, here we have commentary of Imam Khomeini, Ayatollah Khoui, Ayatollah Sani, Ayatollah Lankarani, Ayatollah Sistani, etc. If someone doesn't have any different opinion, there is no comment. If they differ, then they put comments. Sometimes comments are very short, very brief. Sometimes they are almost the same, but there are technical. One is wajib, one is ihtiyat wajib, things like this. So if we go to Al-Urwatul Wusqa, this edition comes in 4 volumes. I had the edition in home that were in 2 thick volumes. This edition is in 4 volumes. So if you go to the 3rd volume, فيما يجب الإمساك عن في الصوم من المفطرات, those things that we have to refrain from. So he says الأول والثاني الأكل والشرب من غير فرق في المأكول والمشروب بين المعتاد وغيره. Inshallah, we will discuss this. And also he says ولا بين الكثير والقليل. There is no difference also between qalil and kathir. So, after saying there is no difference, then there is something that Sheikh Irwani is quoting. I will show you now in the main text. He says, لا بين الكثير والقليل كعشر حبة الحنطة. Imagine 1 seed of wheat, then you take 1/10 of it. It's very small, but still you cannot eat it. أو عشر قطرة من الماء أو غيرها من المائعات. 1 drop of water, suppose you can make it 10, and then 1 of those 10 parts of 1 drop of water or other liquid like juice, etc. Hatta, this is where Sheikh Irwani is quoting. And you see there is no comment here. So Maraja have not put any comment here. The Maraja that in this edition their fatwas are incorporated. He says, حتى أنه لو بل الخياط الخيط بريقه أو غيره. Sometimes a person is sewing, a tailor. Khayyat is tailor. Okay, they put the thread in their mouth, for example, in order to put it through the hole in the needle. Yeah, sometimes they do this. Okay, when they make it wet and bring it out, he says, if they put it again back into the mouth, that water which is from the mouth but has gone out, now it is considered as external water. Put it back is a problem. Or when you brush your tooth and then you bring the brush out, if you bring it back, if there is water inside the brush, then again it's a problem. Unless there is istihlak. We will explain this. So, Sahib al-Urwa says, حتى أنه لو بل means to make wet. لو بل الخياط الخيط بريقه أو غيره. Either بريقه means he put in the mouth, or uses, for example, there's water in a cup, he puts this in the water in the cup. But raddahu ila al-fam, then he brings it back to the mouth. وَابْتَلَعَ مَا عَلَيْهِ مِنَ الرُّطُوبَةِ. Then this rutuba, this wetness which is on the thread, is a swallow. بَطَلَ صَوْمُهُ إِلَّا إذا استهلك ما كان عليه من الرطوبة، وإذا استهلك ما كان عليه من الرطوبة بريقه على وجه لا يصدق عليه الرطوبة الخارجية. Unless this wetness which the thread has is mixed and dissolved in the water in the mouth to the extent that they don't say there is any external water. وَكَذَا لَوْ استاك from sewak is a verb, means using sewak, means brushing. وَأَخْرَجَ الْمِسْوَاكَ مِنْ فَمِهِ وَكَانَ عَلَيْهِ رُطُوبَةٌ ثُمَّ رَدَّهُ إِلَى الْفَمِ. Brings brush out, there is rutuba, put it back to continue. This is a problem. So you have to be careful if you put it back to throw away this water. فَإِنَّهُ لَوْ ابْتَلَعَ مَا عَلَيْهِ بَطَلَ صَوْمُهُ. If he swallows the water which is there on the brush, fasting is void. Again, إِلَّا مَعَ الْإِسْتِهْلَاكِ عَلَى الْوَجْهِ الْمَذْكُورِ, unless it is mixed and dissolved in the water in the mouth. وكذا يبطل بابتلاع ما يخرج من بقايا الطعام من بين أسنانه. Before Sahar was eating food and he didn't brush or didn't make sure that inside teeth there are no pieces of food. Of course, in the next issue he says that there is no need to remove these things unless you are sure that there are things and they will be swallowed. So if you are sure, yes. But if there is possibility, it's not wajib to do to brush or use tooth cleaners, etc. But if you know and then you do ibtila', that's the problem. Or if you know that automatically it will go, again it's a problem. Anyway, that's the next issue. Here just we have this much. وَكَذَا يَبْطُلُ بِابْتِلَاعِ مَا يَخْرُجُ مِنْ بَقَايَ الطَّعَامِ مِنْ بَيْنِ أَسْنَانِهِ. By swallowing what comes out from inside the teeth, if someone swallows, fasting becomes void. Okay, this is the text of Sahibul Urwatil Wuthqa. And you see there is no comment here. Al-Awwal wa Thani, there is no comment here. For example, for Mas'alatul Ula, you see, for example, he says at the end, Batala Sawmuhu ala fardh al-dukhul. Then Imam Khomeini says, Bal mutlaqa ala al-ahwat. Ayatollah Khuyi has, comment, Ayatollah Sani, Ayatollah Sistani. So for Mas'ali Ula there are comments, but here there is no comment. So these Maraja have no comments, Maraja which are included in this edition. Now let's go to our text. لا فرق في المفطرية بين قلة الطعام والشراب وكثرتهما. There is no difference in breaking the fasting whether the food and drink are little or not little. They are a lot. للإطلاق, because أكل and شرب is general. ولذا نص في العروة. لذا صاحب العروة has made it very clear, to the extent that he even talks about a thread, how much a thread can take water. But still he says there is a problem unless it is mustahlak. Okay, we don't need to repeat again the text of the Urwatul Wuthqa, because alhamdulillah we read it. Now he says وَأُشْكِلَ عَلَى اسْتِثْنَاءِ الْمُسْتَحْلَكِ. Sahibul Urwa, Sayyid Muhammad Kazim Tabatabai Yazdi Rahmatullah Alayh, said if the water of the thread or the brush is mixed and dissolved, is mustahlak in the water in the mouth, there is no problem. Ushkila ala istithna al-mustahlak. There has been objection against excluding mustahlak. What is the objection? They said mustahlak should not be used here. Mustahlak is like what? Like, for example, if blood, imagine you have egg. Sometimes you see blood inside the egg. That blood cannot be eaten. But faqih may say, of course everyone should check their marja, but we are talking about fiqh in general. Faqih may say that if this is mixed with the rest of the egg and is mustahlak because it's not najis. Okay, if it was najis, then it was problem, but it's just haram to eat it, this blood inside the egg. If it is mixed and then dissolved, you cannot say this is, part of that blood totally disappeared, then they may allow eating that egg. This is called istihlak. But here we don't have two different things. We have water and water. Why you call it istihlak? So أشكل على استثناء المستهلك بأن الاستهلاك يتوقف على الاختلاف في الجنس ومعه فلا استهلاك مع الاتحاد كما في المقام. The objection is that why you are excluding mustahlak, when that water is mixed and dissolved. Because istihlak depends on difference in gens. When we have two different materials, like egg and blood inside. Ma'ahu fala istihlaka ma'al itad. With this condition, then here we cannot say there is istihlak because there is ittihad fil jins. In our case, in our position, in this maqam, it's just a matter of water being added to water. بل ذلك من باب الزيادة في المقدار. The external water is added to the water inside mouth. فالحليب مثلا لا يستهلك في الحليب. We don't say milk is mustahlak in milk. If you add milk to milk, we don't say it's mustahlak. وإنما يستهلك في الماء. If you put milk in lots of water and you mix it so that it's just water, people say, milk finished. Although if we take it to laboratory and put it under microscope, we may see a small drops or molecules of milk, but Orf says we don't see any milk, it's just water. فالحليب مثلا لا يستهلك في الحليب وإنما يستهلك في الماء ونحوه. Maybe milk inside, I don't know, juice, maybe inside oil, whatever. فالمناسب الحكم بالبطلان مطلقا. So this mustashkil, which in the footnote we realize it must be Ayatollah Hakim rahmatullah alayhi, Sayyid Muhsin al-Hakim, because it's from Mustamsak al-Urwat al-Wuthqa by Ayatollah Hakim rahmatullah. Seems that he said this as his own opinion, not that he quoted, or maybe he just mentioned this objection, Anyway, that's mentioned by him in this book. So we cannot call this istihlak, so we must say whether it is mixed and dissolved with the water of the mouth or not. External water on the thread or in the brush cause problem. Okay, this is the opinion of Sahibul Mustamsak, Mustamsak al-Urwat al-Wuthqa. وَالدُّفِعَ. But this objection is refuted. بأن توقف الاستهلاك على ذلك أنما هو بلحاظ الذات دون الوصف. Istihlak can sometimes be because of zat, sometimes it's because of wasp. For example, if there is a cup of water which is maqsoob, is usurped, yeah, if someone takes from someone's house a cup of water without permission, okay, this water cannot be used for wuzu, cannot be drunk, but imagine this person pours this cup of water which is maqsoob into the sea, and this is dissolved in the sea. Now, can we make wuzu with the water of this sea if this water is not mudaf, it's mutlaq? Is this an issue that that cup of maqsoob water is anyway inside the sea? Is it going to make problem for us? We say no. That water is mustahlak. So water in water can be also mustahlak. So it doesn't need to be water and milk, for example, or blood and egg. So he says, دفع بأن توقف الاستهلاك على ذلك انما هو بلحاظ الذات دون الوصف فلو أريق أراق يريق means to pour, to drop, to shed. إراقة الدماء means to shed blood, but إراقة الماء means to pour water. لو أريق كأس ماء مقصوب في البحر, a cup of water which is usurped, is poured into sea. Okay. لم يتحقق الاستهلاك بلحاظ ذات الماء لوحدة الجنس. Here we don't say water is mustahlak as, you know, gens of water, material of water, because it's again water in water. But we can say it's mustahlak because one water had attribute of being maqsoob, the rest of water is not maqsoob. Istihlak can be used here, although they have ittihad in gens, but because of difference in wasf. وأما بلحاظ كونه مقصوبا فهو مستهلك ولذا لا يحتمل في هذه الحال عدم جواز الوضوء بماء البحر. Therefore, there is no possibility, no one can think that this is an issue to make wudu with this water of sea, because that is mustahlak, that cup of water which is maqsoob is mustahlak. Okay. Now, in our case, it's issue of water and water. There is no problem that, yes, this is not istihlak zati, but wasf, water which is external and water which is internal, that is what we need istihlak for. وفي المقام لما كان أحد الريقين داخليا والآخر خارجيا. This water on the thread comes out of mouth, but the other one is inside mouth. فالاستهلاك متحقق بلحاظ كون الآخر خارجيا. One is external, then it will be mixed and dissolved, so everything is internal. إذ بعد الاختلاط ينتفي عنه وصف الخارجي ويصدق على المجموع أنه ريق الفم. So it can be said that this is water of mouth. هذا ما أفاده الأعلام الثلاثة في المسألة. So three great scholars have mentioned the same thing. So Sahib Urweh and, for example, Sayyid al-Khuwi and other great Maraja, they have this idea. They didn't put any note disagreeing with Sahib al-Urweh. But Sheikh Irwani says maybe it's better that we don't make this issue of whether it is muftir or not dependent on the issue of istihlak. Maybe it's better to approach it in another way. Al-ajdar. Ajdar is af'al tafdil for jadir. Jadir means la'iq. Jadirun bil-dhikr, for example. It's a la'iqun bil-dhikr. Means something which is, acceptable, which is plausible, which is interesting, expected. Ajdar means it's better. It's more expected. It's better. To say it in this way. أن المفترية لا تدور مع صدق الاستهلاك وعدمه. It's better not to say istihlak, whether this is mustahlak, so there is no problem, or it is not mustahlak, so there is problem. Maybe we can say it in this way, and perhaps Sahib al-Urwa also meant it in this way. Does akl and shurb, or does akl or shurb apply to such thing if someone puts this thread again in his mouth? Does Urf say that this person has drunk, has done some drinking? Because sidqul akl wa shurb, yes, if it can be said that he has eaten or drunk, even if it is 1/10 of water, drop of water, or 1/10 of a seed, it's a problem. If they say he has eaten or he has drunk, but if it's so little and so invisible or insignificant that Urf doesn't say that this is drinking or eating, then there's no problem. This is what he says. Because istihlak, it's an issue. Because, for example, imagine if someone puts, 1 drop of juice in his mouth, and, after a few minutes, that is mustahlak. Can we say it's not a problem? Because you cannot distinguish between juice and water of mouth. We cannot say it's not a problem. I think Sahib al-Urwa must have meant actually the same thing by istihlak, that it is so little that it is not counted as drink. So, he says, Al-ajdaru, Sheikh Irwani says, أن المفترية لا تدور مع الصدق الاستهلاك وعدمه بل مع الصدق الأكل والشرب وعدمه. This is the criterion. Can akl be sadiq? Can we say the akl has taken place or not? إذ المفتر هو الأكل والشرب ولا إشكال في عدم صدقه على إعادة الخيط أو المسواك إلى الفم. He says there is no problem in saying that this is not akl, this is not drinking, when you put this thread back to your mouth or put the brush back to your mouth. وعليه فوجه الحكم بعدم المفترية في حالة قلة الرطوبة هو عدم صدق الأكل والشرب لا لصدق الاستهلاك. So why this is not a problem? Because akl is not applicable, it's not صادق. لا يصدق على هذا أنه أكل أو شرب. This is the issue, not استهلاك. بل حتى حتى إذا لم يصدق بحسب الدقة فلا يحكم بالمفطرية. Even if استهلاك in this sense that he said, with precise consideration, there is no istihlak, again no problem, because it's not considered as drinking. Now the next issue, which takes time, is, and I mentioned just beginning of it to prepare your mind, is about eating or drinking something which is not normally used as drink or food. For example, if someone puts some soil in his mouth and swallows, or some drinks which are not used as drink normally, is it an issue or not? This is very important question. مفترية غير المعتاد. معتاد has two meanings, because you know this can be mufta'il and mufta'al. In Farsi, when someone is addicted, we say it's mu'tad, is addicted to something. But mu'tad also can be something which is, you know, customary, means we as people are used to it. Mu'tad means something which is adi, which is ordinary, which is, you know, customary. So if something is غير المعتاد, if something which is not normally used as a food or drink, is it still a problem? It makes fasting void. المشهور تعميم المفطرية لتناول غير المعتاد. When you take تناول, take food or drink which is not mu'tad, still it's a problem. It's muftir. This is mashhur of Shia scholars. ولم ينسب الخلاف إلا إلى الإسكافي والسيد المرتضى رحمهم الله. These two scholars have different opinions according to what has been attributed to them. In Mukhtalaf al-Shia, Allama Hilli attributes to them different opinion, but the rest of ulama say doesn't make difference whether it is mu'tad or not. Why mashhur say there is no problem? Because they say akl and shurb are to be avoided. There is prohibition about akl and shurb, and they say itlaq of akl and shurb includes akl and shurb of what is mu'tad or what is not mu'tad. ومستندهم إطلاق النهي عن الأكل والشرب كما هو واضح. But then Sheikh Irwani has here discussion whether this argument is complete or not. Inshallah we will discuss in the next session. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. Do you have any questions, any comments, any?